At ACCA, we've undertaken various bits of research and polling with our members since the referendum result. More recently, we've done research specifically on the impact of Brexit on financial services, and the biggest message we're getting back from our members is one of uncertainty, and that uncertainty is causing a lot of challenges for the sector. We know that the sector doesn't like uncertainties, nor does any business. What we're finding is contingency plans are likely to come into effect very soon before politicians have made decisions in respect of the future of financial services across the EU. This poses a risk not just for the UK, but also for the rest of Europe. London is the world's #1 financial centre. The next closest European city is Zurich, which comes in at #9. So there's every chance that any relocation of financial services will move outside of not just the UK, but also possibly outside of Europe. So what we need to see from the UK government and EU leaders is a real commitment to ensuring that stability is brought for the financial services sector and that uncertainty is dealt with as quickly as possible.
We want to explore what the effects of Brexit are for financial services industry, and all the research we have conducted, but also work done by others, shows that the impact will be extremely negative, both for the UK and of course for Europe, but especially for the industry itself, which now has to make alternative plans. So we want to explore what exactly are the options for industry and how they can respond in the best possible way to those changes. The core message here is that keeping together in Europe is good for business, is good for member states, and is good for citizens. And unfortunately, Brexit will disrupt both the functioning of business, also the relationship between European nations, but above all, the rights and privileges that European citizens and British citizens in particular enjoy.
So my messages today will be two primarily. One will be around the need to ensure that there is a transition period post-Brexit. This is a very important issue for our members to provide them an opportunity to plan their future structures and operations. They need a bit more time to do so. And the other message I will have is around the need to ensure that cross-border financial contracts between the UK and the EU27 continue post-Brexit, that there are arrangements to ensure contractual continuity so that we avoid damaging cliff edges and other scenarios which would damage banks and their clients.
I think it's in all of our interest to make sure we prevent financial crisis. Next one. How can we do that? The only way to do it is by conversation, by dialogue between industry like ourselves and supervisors, not just EU, not just UK, but we're a Japanese institution, so Japanese supervisors critical. It's all of us need to be on the table to make sure we're aligned, that nothing is going to happen to the next crisis, and we can only do that by dialogue and conversation.
We live in a very changing world today. The world of politics is driven by tweets, by sound bites, by emotion, and never by facts. And that's a shame, because the whole of the Brexit issue, people driven by emotions voted the way they did for something which they did not understand had consequence on them, on their jobs, on their way of life and their standard of living. And so here we are with the reality of Brexit, and particularly the transition from phase 1 to phase 2. It is important. And so therefore it's important that people understand why we have to get phase 1 right first. On the question of the border in Northern Ireland and the questions of the single market, of free movement of people, it is about detail. You can't wish it away. And on the question of the financial settlement, I'm insistent this is not termed a divorce bill. A divorce bill comes with connotations of conflict and acrimony, whereas what we're talking about here is a demerger exercise, and how you demerge influences enormously what kind of structures you put in place thereafter. Whether you're willing to settle the liabilities which 28 nations have run up together. Do you want to leave it for 27 nations to pay a bill run up by 28? Do you want to allow, or intend to allow, 27 nations to continue to pay for and develop the single market while we, the United Kingdom, have the impression that we just enjoy the benefits for nothing? Well, if that's your view, you won't get it for nothing. You have to make a contribution. And lastly, all those things which we value in the United Kingdom, things like Erasmus, things like Galileo, Horizon 2020, European Space Agency, all these things are important in the UK. They provide jobs, but UK is a leading technology nation who plays a big part. How are you going to pay for it? Because previously it was paid out of your annual subscription. Are you prepared to pay for those ongoing relationships, yes or no? These are important, but they're detail, they're not emotion, and that's why the British people need the facts.